we're going to talk about the two forces today. And we're going to do this in regards to the masculine and feminine energy and how it creates consciousness through atomic structure. Okay, so you have your proton, you have your electron, and if this was a hydrogen atom, it's 1 to 1. So you have 1 proton to 1 electron, positive, negative. Now if you have a helium atom, you have 2 protons, and then as well you have these 2 neutrons that they state are bundled in with the proton. So neutron and proton. And then you have your electron out here, you have 2 electrons this time that circle around the outside and in 2 different circles. The circles are different. That's the standard model. But what I theorize is actually happening is you have the proton, 2 protons, and the neutron isn't bound in with the proton. You have the electron here, and it's putting out, actually let me do this in a different color. It's putting out waves in the electromagnetic field, right? So you have these waves that have these points of intersection where they cancel each other out. And where they're canceling each other out, these are places where there is no charge whatsoever. So your negative electron, the waves coming off of it, as opposed to the positive waves coming off of the proton, create your neutron in between. So you can look at it like this is masculine, this is feminine, or vice versa, however you want to do it. The masculine and feminine are the proton and electron. And this here, that's created between the two, these vacancies, are what cause the bond and repulsion between all things. In fact, I think this is the basis for gravity, because these little pockets of no charge allow the object to slide into a pathway, or like it creates the bond by these vacancies. They're actually, I think they're like black holes actually. I think the neutron is a black hole, essentially, because it's a place where there just is no charge, so there's no, nothing can enter it, nothing can leave it. But it's surrounded by, just like a black hole is surrounded by matter and energy. So these little holes in between these waves that are intersecting are actually like your first signal for consciousness as well. So this force or unforce that's between the two is the vacancy that becomes a signal to all matter and starts influencing the direction and growth and bonding of matter and energy. And it starts directing the physical, and so as the physical becomes these different forms of life, to carry this signal as a communication through all things. And it creates magnetism, it creates gravity, it creates consciousness, the neutron. And it creates black holes. So when a neutron star, what they call a neutron star, is actually the absence of, and it pressurizes itself down, I think, and then to a point where it is the singularity, but it's just a huge sphere of nothing, of neutrons, pretty much. And so what it really is an area where all of these waves of energy and matter are. It's just a tidal wave of that, pretty much. It's like a swirling tidal wave of nothingness, of no charge. But it exists and is connected within the atom and outside the atom. It's connected, it connects all things. So all things are connected by this field of neutrons, is more of what it is. And so like when a planet, when the pull is so strong between two extremely dense things, so the planet's coming by and it's stuck in an orbit because it's this net, it's like a net of waves where there's these vacancies, and those vacancies are what actually pulls on it and keeps it in traction with whatever other object it comes in contact with, as it does with the proton and the electron. And so it can be easily stated, in just without using the scientific terms, as masculine and feminine. The masculine and feminine forces that originally came out of the Big Bang and coalesced and congregated and get grouped and gathered have all been under the direction of these neutrons as a signal, as a communication. And then as it built its forms, it actually directed matter to build forms that it could exist in and house it, so it could do more things and become more than it was before. And it has to this point this interference pattern that is created. It is also what created us, and so it could be considered God. And it communicates through all things. It is part of all things. It is never not in contact with all things in existence. Its signal it has completely saturated the universe. And so it directs the physical, and then the physical becomes something that can house the consciousness better. So as our forms have evolved through time, from animals, from plants, animals, through everything, just making better vehicles for the consciousness. And that's where we're at right now, and we're trying to assimilate in emotional parts of this pattern. But it is a direct link to God. It is God, and it is part of you too. And that's why God is part of everyone. He's part of everything. He, she, it is everywhere, and has directed and created life. We are just the vessels, the Lord of hosts. What is a host? A host is an avatar. A host is somebody that allows you into their space. And that's what we are. We are the hosts. And God is the Lord of hosts, because he exists within all of us, in all things. And just because they can't talk doesn't mean that they're not thinking just as much as you are. Whoa, dog. They're very dangerous. So you it's good to have groups of people to believe the same thing, but it seems like the belief systems that we're holding on to don't finish out. They don't resolve. They're rascal. The problem with our organized spiritualism and organized religion is that we haven't. Rascal, stop it. The problem with organized religion is that our theories and processes and interpretations of things don't finish out. The problem with all organizations, religious, scientific, social, all organizations that we become part of, not only do we lose our sovereignty in being part of that, we're no longer putting our allegiance to God. We've just subcontracted our allegiance to something else, to another form of beliefs, or another form that isn't completely yours. You might think the same way and along the same lines, but I don't know that any religion that I've ever looked at, or any organizational group of any kind, for any purpose, things that I don't agree with. And that's what you'll always have. And so but if you're going to put your allegiance into an organization, you lose that ability to make choices and do things that need to be done in a situation but aren't allowed, or are not sponsored or supported. So not only is there that, but also it puts another thing in between you and God. If God's right here already, why am I going way the heck over here to relay a message that's already inside me? And so it's really ridiculous to think that there couldn't be an entity that is the whole, which makes it everything, and limitless and timeless, and and everything, the Alpha, the Omega, the first and the last. See, that's the whole thing, is that we've actually gone through lives and lives and lives of learning to be what the Creator intends for us to be. And so the consciousness is learning in the same way, because the consciousness, our consciousness, is only what our consciousness is while it's in this form. And our memories and everything is based off the physical. So when that goes away, the consciousness, even if the consciousness stayed together, it's going to, in its next form, it's not going to have the same personality. It might have certain things, traits that are similar, because it is operating in actually making all of our forms as it's going. It's influencing the physical every lifetime. That's why you have DNA, the instructions for the physical, to make a body. And I'm sure that if one were to look, there are alterations made in the DNA code as it goes, so that just lends to the fact that it is writing itself and making new directions for the next life. Although we might be messing that up by putting in other chemicals into our bodies that could possibly be altering the processes of our cells, and with pollution and all of it. Because our intuition is so important to what we're trying to achieve, which is going forward into the future, not knowing what's going to happen. And so the more you are connected with this force of God, the voice of God, the interactions of people around you, you'll start to see that nature is speaking to you through all of these events, and the people that are put in your lives are there to teach lessons. It's all the experience, and it's all learning to be more than what we were yesterday, giving life to things that are nothing on their own, but together become full beings, full entities.